This is what we're going to make today. It's an oxalic acid vaporizer, and if you're looking at this video, you probably already know what this is, but just for those of you that don't or that regularly watch my channel, the honeybees in the United States, or really all over the world, one of the big problems that they've had that has come in the last 20-30 years is varroa mites. And so you can kill them with pesticides and some other things like that, but one of the things that apparently works really well is to take some oxalic acid and you push this into the hive and you heat this up and it basically smokes off or vaporizes the oxalic acid, and that goes up into the hive. Doesn't hurt the bees, but it does kill the mites. So I've just recently gotten into beekeeping, and so this is the way I'm going to try to control my varroa mites. Okay, so I looked at a bunch of different oxalic acid vaporizers, and they run about $100, $150 when you buy them. And you know, I had all these parts except for it. The heating source is a glow plug for like a diesel engine, and it ran me, I think it was $9 off of Amazon. So that's what I use, and I'll give you the number on that here in just a minute. But some of the things that I noticed in the different designs that I wanted to try to change was most of them had, and I would say that this reservoir right here is probably way bigger than it needs to be. I probably could have made that a little bit smaller. But what they would, a lot of them would do is they would have a large block of aluminum over here with the heater in it, and then a little tray over here, you know, about that much, which would probably be enough to put your oxalic acid in. But when you put this in, you want it to work pretty quick. And my thought process is the smaller the block of aluminum, the more mass of aluminum, the less this has to heat and the faster it'll work. There is also a problem that you can get it too hot and it can actually change the oxalic acid into some other chemicals, but I don't think that's going to be the problem here. So I thought putting the heater in the middle and putting the oxalic acid on both sides would give you a better chance of vaporizing it quickly, because see, they would run it, it would be like just this half of it like that, so half your heat's going this way and it's not affecting anything. So anyway, this is just some thoughts that I had. Also, I wanted to isolate the handle from the unit itself so it's not wicking off heat. But you know, both these screws might pull off just as much heat as the handle would. But making this type of configuration, I would have had to have brought my handle over here to the side, which would have worked just fine. But and then the problem is too, is you take this and you slide it into your hive, and it sits on the board on the bottom. And there's been some warnings of these burning the hive or actually even catching them on fire. So I put a heat shield on the back side, which should isolate that enough that it should reduce that quite a bit. So anyway, that's the changes that I made. Now I used my glow plug, and there's a lot of different ones that you could use, but mine was an AC Delco, and it's a 60G was the model number for that. Everything else I just kind of had in stock around, and you could use lots of different things. The aluminum is about a 1/2 inch thick, and I think it was 2 by 3, but it was quite a bit bigger starting out, and I had to cut it down because that's all I had. And then a piece of sheet metal, just a handle. This is an old piece of a broom handle here. Some cables. You need some type of a connection to attach it to a battery. This is an old, I think it came off of an old battery charger that I salvaged. Okay, let's get started. I've got a 2 inch by 3 inch block, and it's actually 1 inch thick, and I need it 1/2 inch, but this is all I had, so I'm actually going to have to get rid of half of this. So anyway, I'm going to start by getting it squared up. Alright, that'll be great. Now I'm going to get this end done. Alright, so that'll be good. Now we just got to get it reduced in thickness. Alright, so there we are, 1,000 under, which is just fine. That'll be perfect. So that's our blank. It's got a really nice finish on it. I'm real happy with that new cutter. Alright, next thing I gotta do is, well, probably what I'm gonna do next is go ahead and stand it up and drill my hole to put my heater in there. I want to measure the stem of the glow plug and see the size of it, and it's 197. So I want to find a drill bit that's just that size or 1,000th over. So I've got a number 9 drill bit in here, and it's actually 1,000th under the size that we need. But I think when it drills it, it'll actually come out. You know, they usually come out just a little bit bigger. So, and I need to go down 1 inch and 75. Now I'll drill out to tap for the threads. Alright, I've got an 11/32 in there, and I'm going to be tapping for a 10 mil 1 millimeter thread, and I need to go 650 thousandths deep. Alright, now we're going to tap this hole. Check out those beautiful threads. Alright, now let's see how this goes in. Yep, just clears the hole down the bottom and it screws right in. I think that's going to be great. I've got our blank in here, and I need to key. I'm going to key off of this edge right here. So I'm going to zero out here and then move in 3/8 and 3/8 this direction. So now that puts me in 1/8 of an inch from each edge. I'm going to drop this, and then I'm going to travel 1 inch and 625 thousandths this way, and then I'm going to return, and I'm going to go 1 inch this way, and then I'm going to go another 1 inch and 625 thousandths this way, and that should cut our channel out. And we're going to go 3/8 of an inch deep. Alright, and that's got our cavity cut out. Alright, there's the finished groove there, and I've deburred it. Need to do a little more deburring right there, apparently. But this is 300 thousandths deep, which I think is plenty deep. So I would like for this to have as little mass as possible, so when I when I heat it, it doesn't spend a whole lot of time heating up the aluminum. It spends most of its time vaporizing the oxalic acid. And this is that, you know, you put like a half a teaspoon in here, so this is actually way big too. So I probably could have shrunk this down, made these smaller, but you know, this is kind of a prototype to see how it does. But what I'm going to do is I only want, see, these are 1/8 of an inch, and I want this back to be only 1/8 of an inch, and this should have gone down another 75 thousandths. So I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to take 75 thousandths off the back. Okay, Okay, so I did that, and not really sure I should have, because I almost cut into my hole here. You can actually see right there, you can see the top parts of the threads. So if I was going to do that, I should have moved this hole first. But anyway, I think it's going to work just fine. But I think if I was to do it again, I certainly would move that hole. Alright, so now I need to get the holes drilled out for the screws that hold the handle on. Alright, so I'm getting ready to drill the pilot holes for my screws that hold this off of the handle. And this, of course, would have been easier to do when I had drilled this hole, but the problem was I didn't know what screws I was going to put in here because I hadn't found them yet. So these get set 625 thousandths off of center. This is a number 29 drill because I'm doing 832 bolts. And you know, you could use 10s, or I wouldn't use anything too big because you don't want it to transfer a whole lot of heat, but that's just what I happen to have in stock. So, all right, I'm going to drill these out about 1/4 of an inch. All right, let's get these tapped. I wish I had a bottom tap, because these holes are not very deep. I'm getting ready to cut the shielding for the back of this, and so I've put a piece of double stick tape on a piece of wood, and I'm just going to line this up. That's just going to support it for me. Now I'm just going to eyeball this. I've got a scratch on it right there. I think that's pretty good. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so I've got to cut out a hole for our glow plug, and then a hole for each screw that goes on each side. And this is a 3/16 end mill, and I really, I need like a 1/2 inch end mill here, but I'm just going to use this so I don't have to reset. Alright, so there's what it looks like. Pretty ugly when you're talking about the precision of a mill, but they'll get the job done. I guess I don't know why that double stick tape wasn't seeming to hold. But anyway, now I'm going to get this bent. Okay, this is the piece that the handle connects into and then is screwed to the actual vaporizer. And so I got to put a hole in the center to hold the handle, and then one at 625 thousandths off of center each way to hold the screws. And this is just a piece of scrap that I had. It's aluminum, about 1/8 of an inch thick. I would have used a piece of steel or whatever I had that wasn't too wide this way and was long enough, but this is just a piece of scrap, so just anything. So this is a 1/4 inch rod that I'm going to use to make the handle, and I'm just going to get it filed off and then threaded. And I'm threading it in the lathe just because I tend to be pretty hopeless in getting them straight unless I have some kind of a guide. So okay, to make the handle, I got an old broom handle here that I'm just going to cut a chunk off the end of it. got it chucked up in the lathe here. I'm just going to clean it up and then drill the center out. Well, a little coat of paint, make it look like I tried. Well, I'll take a few more coats. So let's do a trial fit up of this. All right, we'll get our glow plug put in there. Just modify that a little bit so it's not in my way. Now we'll put our heat shield in place. Hopefully it'll fit. Yep, fits really well. And we want a little gap back here. We got to make sure we don't get it so thick though that we can't get it through our hive opening. So that gives us the little gap. Alright, so I've been kind of figuring out some electrical connections here, and let me zoom out here so you can see a little better. Oh, that shows all my trash. I'll have to clean up a little bit. Okay, so this is a cord that I had laying around. I think it came off of an old charger, battery charger or something like that. I'm really not sure. But I had it in my stock. So this is actually some pretty heavy cable. You probably need something about 12 gauge or heavier. This is probably like a number 10. But see, like I had these too that I had kept, but they're really short. So this is what I'm going to use. And I had to bend this because if I came up over the top, this was actually thicker than 3/4, and so I wouldn't be able to shove it in my hive. So I had to bend it so I can go over the side like that. Well, when I did that, then my connector was going to ground out on this screw. So I forced a piece of rubber tubing up on it. And now I can plug that in and it can come across and it's protected right there. So the next thing I've got to do is I'm going to loosen up this screw and I'm going to put this lug up underneath there. Our handle is dry. It looks okay, you know, being a used broom handle. It could look better. I could have sanded it and done a little more with it, but I really don't care. So I'm going to take a little Gorilla Glue and glue this on there. Alright, we'll let that sit. Alright, so our handle is dry and we're ready to put this together. Alright, well, I wish these were a little messy right there. I'd have to cut that off to even it up. I'm not really interested in doing that. Alright, so that's got it put together. Next thing we got to do is test it. Alright, I'm going to give this a test, and I'm just going to use some water to test it. And I'm going to pour a little bit of water in here. Okay, I'm now connecting the terminals. Alright, we're at 37 seconds and we're starting to get some boiling. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop it. Alright, that seemed to be doing pretty good. I'll get some oxalic acid and we'll test it with that. Okay, so I've weighed out, this is 2 grams of oxalic acid. Well, maybe that container's a good size. Anyway, so, okay, so that's 2 grams, and now I'm going to move it to where it's got a good airflow across it so I don't breathe this in, and we'll fire it off and see how it does. Alright, I got it set up here, and I've put a board up under it so that I can see if it leaves any kind of a scorch mark or anything. Alright, I'm going to connect it up. Alright, it's connected. I'm starting the stopwatch. It's starting to melt at 48 seconds. Alright, and that was 2 minutes 35 seconds. I would say that that was complete. So I think that worked pretty good. Alright, let's look and see if it scorched the board at all. Nope. It's a little warm to the touch. I mean, it's noticeably hotter than the rest of it, but it certainly didn't make a burn mark or anything like that. Okay, so just some final thoughts about this after firing it off. And first of all, I'm really glad that I made the reservoir the size that it is, because it contained the oxalic acid, but if it was much smaller, it probably wouldn't have. So the thickness here, I'm at 450 thousandths, so almost a half inch. The tray part is actually 260, so just right over a quarter of an inch deep, and that's probably deep enough. It could be just a little bit deeper, but I think I'm really pretty happy with that depth on that. So I think I'm real happy with this shield. Kept it from burning the wood at all. This turned out to be a good glow plug. This glow plug also is supposed to have a little bit of protection to keep it from overheating in there. So anyway, I'm real happy with the way it turned out. I hope you found something in this video that was worth your time. Thank you for watching.